All right. I would like to welcome Mr. Mike Currey to Affiliate Marketing 2.0. Mike, if you're not familiar with him, as a gentleman with Ivy League stamps like Quince and Blue Nile on his affiliate passport, and he's got a highly diversified background, and even more diversified affiliate roster of partners that he has. He's an innovator in the iPhone or in the phone tracking space and influencer spaces. He's managed up to $75 million in annual media spend, and he's done the rounds at your favorite affiliate conferences as a speaker like PI Live and other impact conferences. All that's to say, anyone who is worth their salt in the affiliate marketing industry, they know that this guy knows his stuff. So it's a pleasure for me to introduce Mr. Mike Currey today. How you doing? All the way over in Seattle, Washington, correct?
Yep, good. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, awesome. Yeah, good to see you. It's a pleasure. We've kind of interacted with one another through just Martech Record Slack and everything. So I've really enjoyed kind of your input and see all of your posts on LinkedIn and everything. So great to finally sit you down and have a conversation. So Mike, a lot of people listening, they're not going to have the high profile experience of the enterprise level like Quince and T-Mobile that you've kind of had and built those programs up from the ground zero really. So like when you're taking on a program of that size, like what is that process like?
For me, I have to really kind of take a look at the land of really what's happening right now. Mm-hmm. Some of those, T-Mobile and Quince, I took over in pretty much the infancy, and when I came on, they asked me to pretty much start from scratch. So really just doing a deep dive and where we're at right now, who we're currently partnering with, what are the promo code structures look like, where are they at, do all the codes need to be live right now? Is there a referral program that is possibly interacting with? What are some of the other medias that are going on? Sometimes they are kind of intertwined with some of the coupon sites and stuff, so they're kind of hijacking certain things. So really for me, it's a really deep audit to kind of go, where should I start and work backwards to try to correct or add on to.
Okay, yeah, so when you're going in, and are you starting off with possible fraud, like a little anomalies like in the data where it's like, wow, we're getting $100,000 in sales from 5 clicks a month? Or are you looking at, like you mentioned, the promo codes? So are you kind of like, I guess, plugging some of the leaky holes first? Is that the very first thing you're going to do? And is it kind of like the fraud, or like just those, like I said, those things that don't make sense or like intuitively don't make sense? Is that what you first look at?
Yeah, I mean, I look at the partner mix. Sometimes they had like sub networks in there. It's really kind of going down to like rabbit holes. You don't really mean to go down there, but once you click and you find something, next thing you know, you're going down another hole, and you don't really necessarily want to be there, but it's good that you do it. I've found some before where I came on that there was another partner going on, another channel going on, and I've noticed I was just kind of clicking on coupon sites and I saw their link on it, which they should not have been on. It was a CPC partner. So I kind of cleaned that up. I saw a lot of referral links on coupon sites, or some bloggers have been using the referral link and code as a discount, even though there is no discount in the affiliate program. So they're blending really two different programs together.
Okay.
Some of the other channels that were kind of hijacking it, they either taking over paid search, like just cloning it essentially, and really kind of realizing the other channel that was really performing well and nobody thought it was the greatest thing actually wasn't doing anything that they thought they were doing, because they're just kind of hijacking paid search or on coupon sites, or just a lot of old coupons that they're created throughout the years, just kind of randomly out there, and figuring out who the owner is and turn it off. Rebuilding the whole structure of the promo code naming convention so it's easier to track for finance, as well as who the current owner and the channel for it. So yeah, some of them are way more than involved than others, and some are fairly clean.
Okay, and you mentioned coupons several times, promo codes. Like, could you, to someone who's listening and learning, like, would you recommend even engaging or onboarding coupon partners to begin with, or if you were not working with them, would that make things like just a lot easier for someone? Like, if it's not an absolute necessity, like what's your opinion on that? And then like I kind of like with, like with what are like some of the best practices with coupon code, let's say maintenance that someone could implement if they do have coupon code. So you're mentioning kind of like links that are multi-purpose links, or these referral codes and stuff. So you're saying they're kind of been using for purposes that aren't what they're supposed to be for, right? Whether it's a link or code or something. I don't know exactly the situation, but like, yeah, what are some best practices that someone can implement to prevent some of that headache for them?
Yeah, I think it comes down to, what is the structure of the company? Are they a promotional company or not? If they're not a promotional company, there's no reason to have promo codes. So that kind of takes away any coupon strategy direction from there. But if they are a promotional company, I typically don't bring on coupon sites because they're going to host you anyways and just drive traffic to you for free. So why pay them? But there are times when you might just need it, and that's kind of the direction of it. So, pick a one or two that you're really comfortable with and you feel like you'd be a good driver, and work with them on a very minimal commission basis. From what I've seen a lot of times is, you have your influencer team and an affiliate, they're kind of working together, or maybe not, but they also share a very similar promo code structure, and it's hard to understand who is the ultimate owner. Sometimes it's like a name 10 if it's 10% off.
Right.
And you might know that as an influencer, but when you start bringing that on as an affiliate, the same format, you really have no idea who actually is the true owner of that program. So I've always been kind of doing more of a prefix, building the structures to where it's like, if it's influencer, it's like INFL dash, maybe the name and 10, and same with thing like AFF dash. So that way you can at least know who the channel owner is, and then you can do multiple prefixes that are either by name or a partner type. A lot of times I tend to try to do single use codes, and you follow kind of the same format. But if you need to do a multi-use code, that's a great way to do it. In case something leaks, you know exactly who the owner is, what channel the owner is, and really what the ultimate owner of the partner is, and you can kind of remove it or turn it off. But some people don't realize when you actually turn it off and then give them a new code, you just created a new problem. Now you have an expired code that's possibly on coupon sites now, which... if you don't get remove it, you're going to have people using it for cart abandonment.
Well, and I even know it kind of goes even like more problematic than that. Like I remember back in the, like, you know, when we were operating on share sale, there would be specific, like we wouldn't even distribute codes, but we just create them in the back end or like for a specific partner or something. And then there would be basically companies who are scraping or crawling somehow like our individual affiliate programs for codes and then putting them out. So it's like we didn't even like publicly display them, and then they were, so you know there's different levels to it. So I mean, you know, in my, you know, like you said, it's if it's a promotional brand and you don't have any option, then you know kind of implement some of those policies around naming conventions and all those things that you just kind of mentioned there. But again, my approach in a lot of our programs now is like I don't even try to engage with the coupon sites at all, and I really think that's more of probably the coupon sites are more of a crutch that agencies, right, have leaned on to basically try to show revenue, right, when they don't, or when they're actually not really producing any incremental or really meaningful revenue. But you know, because those last click partners will always, like you said, they'll always be there, and then if you turn them on, they can show revenue, but it doesn't necessarily mean that they're actually, you know, creating those sales for the brands, right? So, you know, if I were recommending someone, I would say, you know, just don't, you know, onboard. But I think I do like the input or the advice that you gave, where it's like, if you are going to work naming conventions, limit your relationships, because like you said, and that's kind of my policy on like loyalty and toolbar partners anyway. It's like, you don't have to pay them. They're still going to be, you know, they're still going to like, or you know, a lot of these sites are still going to have discounts and things like that. They're kind of like going and crawling the web for to like show their, you know, users because they want them, you know, all that kind of stuff. But you don't necessarily have to have them in your affiliate program and pay them out. Do you see, Do you see like loyalty partners, right? Because loyalty is another like sort of big partner group that has historically been in affiliate marketing. Do you see those as distinct or similar to coupons? Like Microsoft Shopping, for instance. Like I have it enabled on my Edge browser or whatever. So like whenever I'm shopping, I forget that I'm even shopping or that it's even enabled, and then I'll say, oh, it's activate whatever cash back. Like what's your opinion on their influence and their importance in affiliate programs?
I probably similar to the coupon. I would pick or choose one or two if you really need to do it. For me, that's kind of where a lot of the coupons, the problems are. The toolbars are basically scraping your checkout. So whether it's publicly acknowledged or not, they've scraped your checkout and putting it on the coupon sites. From a loyalty standpoint, it's depending on which one it is, a lot of times like 50-50 mix between new and existing customers. It's really great for retention. I think if you're not a promotional company but you want to give the illusion that you're giving somebody a discount, you're not degrading your product value, but the customer still feels like they're getting a discount through cashback, which is just paid through commission, obviously, and it's indirect, but they've still paid full price for the product. But for me, like I would probably pick one or two, and then the rest I try to remove off the domain as much as possible because you're just introducing possible fake codes or anything that could help with the cart abandonment.
Yeah, so I have a similar opinion on loyalty. I also see that loyalty partners are kind of like coupons, right? They're kind of like those lower funnel, last click. Are they really contributing any value or not? You're not really sure. They're opening yourself up to fraud by working with them. So, and again, I think, I don't know if you mentioned this or you feel the same way, but I just feel like it's kind of cluttered, right? Whenever I'm like trying to assess actual incremental revenue or actual look at gross revenue for an affiliate program, I think if you have multiple loyalty partners and you have multiple coupon partners in an affiliate program, gross revenue is almost like irrelevant. So again, I think it's coupons and loyalty they're just partners that have been a crutch for agencies essentially or affiliate managers trying to show revenue when they don't have any other active really incremental campaigns going on. Speaking with you, you have as much experience with different partner types and different affiliate types, maybe more or as much as anyone I've ever spoken with. So can you just touch, so people looking to diversify beyond loyalty and coupon partners, what are some of their options?
Yeah, I mean, it kind of comes down to, again, the advertiser. For T-Mobile, for example, they were heavy phone conversion. So I could go after a lot of SMS or phone lead gen partners. The phone book, go after. We built out the Invoca product over there, so I was able to give everybody a phone number, whether you're at Forbes.com or Slick Deals, whatever you want. I could give you a phone number and you can call directly from your website. But I've also, since I did come from traditional media before affiliate, almost 13 years in the print and programmatic space, I try to implement a lot of other channels, whether it be print on CPA. I did PR on CPA, influencer, radio, you name it. If somebody is willing to front the cost and be on a CPA, I gave it a shot. With somebody like T-Mobile, they were more receptive to do it. We were paying out a little bit more, and they had the name. They could pretty much kind of guarantee some traffic from it. But from a smaller brand, that is a little harder to do. But if they do see potential, I'm going into newsletters now and CPCs, and we're even trying podcasts on a CPA.
Yeah.
So, I think it really just kind of comes down to the advertiser and whether or not you can convince somebody to.
Yeah. So I think affiliate, like you said, is as much as anything, it's a payment model, right? It's basically just saying I have this potential customer base, this pool of people that's an organic audience, that's a paid audience, whatever they are. And then I'm going to send them over to you to make a purchase or, fill out a lead form or whatever it is. And then I'm going to get paid out basically because of that action, right? So it's a payment model that can apply to different basically traffic sources, like types of promotions, advertising, whatever. You also mentioned that there are affiliates that you've worked with that front ad spend, right? So I think a lot of people are more familiar with the organic content affiliates, right? So like influencers that have their own audiences, or a publisher or a content site that has their own audience, like their visitors to their website. So like, what types of affiliates have you worked with that fronted ad spend, and can you kind of like, basically, for people who are not aware of those types of partners, like, can you give a little bit more detail on those?
Yeah, I think even some right now, like display partners, I provide them the direction we want to go after, the creative, and they go out and just buy the impressions themselves. I think we've also done, print newspaper. I've done the phone book was one where I was given almost 1 million phone books, a display banner in the phone book, and didn't pay for it, and they're just hoping that they get paid. But it did very well, actually. But most of the partners I do are really kind of fronting a lot of it. If it's traditional media, if they're just driving phone calls, it can be a little bit, because they're using either using like newsletters or something to kind of go out and get the clients to bring into the conversation. But display and paid search partners, they're kind of fronting a lot of it and hoping that they'll get paid from a CPA standpoint.
Yeah. Are there any best practices with these partners? I work with these partners all the time. For instance, we do a lot of paid search. We're starting to do a lot more in native campaigns. So like, affiliates on Taboola, affiliates on Outbrain, things like that. So I know that you've had some of the experiences there. Like, what do you think, like, how should they complement one another? Like, how should organic affiliates complement paid affiliates, and paid affiliates complement organic affiliates? And like, walk us through, payment best practices, or how much they should get paid out, like even where you should start recruiting and onboarding, even what kind of assets that you might need. Like you mentioned display, like how would you engage with these paid media partners?
Yeah, I present the opportunity with them, make sure they're familiar with the product and potential, there's press coverage, there is demand for it to kind of get them interested. When they do it, from a display partner, I give them all the AIB sizes that they want. It's typically maybe 5 or 6 of them, and give them brand guidelines to go after. They're on a traditional CPA model, but there are some others where, like newsletters, that instead of paying a flat fee up front, I bring them on a CPC, maybe start them at 50 cents to $1. I really kind of keep them in that range, because anymore you're really kind of teetering on ROAS, and this all really kind of depends on your AOV too. If you're a jewelry and typical AOV is $3,000, and you can probably pay a little bit more, but if you have a lower AOV, you're going to want to stay as much down as possible and use that as a leverage, so it can go from 50 to 75 to $1. But in the past, I've also done, try to help get influencers, when it was like 2015, to even run on commission. I had to do really more of a hybrid model of paying them a CPC, maybe 25 cents. And then when they created a cart, give them a bonus for there. And then if they converted, I would give them a balance of what I would normally pay. So that way they kind of felt like they're driving upper funnel traffic, and they're still getting rewarded for it, whether or not convert or not. But it also kind of trained them that, like, hey, I can make extra money on this, and it's ongoing, not just a flat fee and forget it. So I think a lot of the influencers in the past, they were kind of weird just running on CPA because they'll never know. But if you kind of work with them in that realm, whether it be a flat fee plus a commission or a bonus structure, it can work out. And every partner is different, so that's the kind of the value of affiliate, is each partnership is unique, and it's how you work with them is individualized by payment model. So unlike search and Meta and Google, you're pretty much just stuck paying a CPM or a CPC, and that's really it.
Yeah. So you mentioned something that's interesting there to me, which is the EPC elements of it, and how much, what is a fair EPC? Because I always feel like there's this tension between the brand, like you said, ROAS, right? Or the brand, margin, if you want to call that. And then also to there's a few different tensions, right? So I'll just put some things out. So one was how fast the brand wants to grow. So and how many, like, the new revenue and new customers that the brand wants, how much the brand wants to profit, right, on the actual sale, the first sale or the sale itself, and then how much you're incentivizing affiliates, right, to actually to scale you, to drive more traffic, all that kind of stuff. It's like 75 cents to $1 is insane. I've heard other people, right, more on the media side, talk about even $2 to $4 per click as like a more obviously it's a more attractive, but like as a more desirable range for affiliates. So like in that kind of spectrum of like balancing brand profitability, incentivizing partners, like what is like you said, is that 75 cents to $1 CPC, or does that depend on like what type of promotion or campaign, like if it's a meta campaign or display campaign versus a content campaign? Do you do like a blended ROAS at the end of the day? Like, we have a client, for instance, like who we might pay Forbes $80 for a flat CPA, or a Pillar 4, premium content $50 for a CPA, but we might pay another partner 10%. Right. So like, do you just look at it? Should you look at it from, I guess, like what almost like an MER perspective or a blended ROAS perspective at the end of the month? Or like, just, yeah, I'd be really interested. And I think other people would be interested in hearing like how you process through that.
For me, I just kind of look at it as ROAS standpoints. I've tested all the flat feed newsletters before, and the ROAS really never backs out. Mm-hmm. And so approached it, kind of reintroduce it on the CPC. Newsletters seem to be a little more receptive from that, but when you go into like a link B, a content partner, the minimum is sometimes even $1, and even that's really they don't even recommend that to link B. It's going to be like a $2 to $4, with a minimum spend of $5,000. So it really kind of depends on what is the content structure, mm-hmm. and whether or not they're willing to even do it. So yes, for $4, it's kind of common when it gets into like the tier 1 content partners.
Yeah.
But I've had some really strong newsletters too, where they almost charge $70,000 or $40,000 for a placement, and that's kind of outrageous. But they're willing to do a $2 CPC to test, and if it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out, and you figure something out.
Yeah. No. Absolutely. So I think what you're mentioning is like you basically just need to use payment models to lower your risk as a brand, or try to find something that works for you. Like, and I've heard CPC is kind of a middle point. A CPC is a middle point of like risk between the brand and the publisher, right? Because they're trying to monetize their audience. You're trying to like get sales, but like a CPA favors them or favors you, the brand, and then a flat fee favors them. So that CPC is that kind of balance. Yeah, so I guess that like how I come at it, to just kind of give my 2 cents, is I think that you need to, like, I think blended ROAS is an interesting way to look at it, meaning that like if you look at the different partner types that you have, right, like paid search, for example, being a particular partner type, and then you have like traditional SEO content as a partner type, and maybe you've got influencers or podcasters or whatever it is that they're like, anytime that paid traffic comes into it, I think that you're going to have to be willing to give a little bit from an EPC perspective, because they're literally paying to drive the traffic, and so they need to be profitable, or else it's going to get shut off. And plus, it has all these advantages, right? Paid traffic is an ongoing paid traffic campaign is more valuable than a one-off organic campaign, right? Because you're getting that daily traffic, you're getting those daily sales, like whatever it is. Whereas, even SEO might fluctuate, or, definitely a one-time influencer campaign is going to be here and then go away. So like, I think that if brands really want to like operate affiliate programs that are meaningful, like have meaningful growth, is that they will be having to accommodate those more paid media partners with those higher EPCs. And for that probably means to me like anywhere between like $1 and $2.50. And then anything above $2.50, and then you're starting to get to that really like high expensive level for the brand, which might still work for them. But like that's when I think you should start to be a little bit more cautious, because that is, what is that converting at, right? If you're paying out that much per click. All right, so you mentioned that you have a pretty extensive background in display. So can you break down display? So like whether that's retargeting or programmatic or native, it's like what are those different like buckets of display, and then how do you set up those campaigns? Like, are there better like types of affiliates, like or display campaigns? Like, is retargeting better than programmatic, or like is native better than programmatic? Like, can you just kind of again kind of talk about that specific channel?
Yeah, I mean, I did it for like Microsoft and T-Mobile and outside of affiliates. So just traditional programmatic, whether it just be prospect or retargeting, video display, native, contextual, anything like that. It also kind of depends on the brand. YouTube could be under display channel or it could be under paid social. So it really defines, the brand defines who does what. But from an affiliate standpoint, I typically just work on prospect display and native. I don't do really any retargeting. I find that's you're kind of almost stepping now on at the media team's part, and they're kind of blending what really is incrementality. So I just kind of stay away from that. So really, just kind of keep it basic, display, native. I am moving into some podcasts, which does have a display element to it. And sometimes CTV does as well. Kind of depends on who you're working with. Like Mountain, they have a display element to it from a retargeting on top of the CTV. But
yeah, no, that's really interesting. So you mentioned video, just like, so I'll tell you kind of from my perspective too. So we run like native static ads. So like, or are starting to run native static ads. So like, if you're reading an article and you see like another like little like square tile with an image and it looks like a story, and then you click out to, but it's actually a native article, right? So contextual like that. We run some video ads as well. So like, and then we do actually have a little programmatic going on too. So you mentioned prospecting versus retargeting, right? So prospecting being new audiences versus retargeting is people who have already visited the website. Obviously that's possibly less incremental. So like, are there specific like affiliates that you've done prospecting with, and how do those campaigns start off? Is that both video and like display ads, or what are those prospecting campaigns look like?
they've pretty much just been display and native. Just static display and native. I don't really do much dynamic.
Okay.
That's kind of their decision, and that's I'd have to work with what their parameters are too. So really static has been the main focus of it. From the retargeting standpoint, you have your safe stop, your email ones, and some other partners that do that. And for me, I've found that when you allow that they almost come back with all the ordering queries, like, hey, we were a piece of it, we get part of it, and then you're spending half your day like reviewing all the ordering queries that they felt they had a touch with. So I just kind of stay out of that and let the other media teams, the retention teams, work with that part of the house. I think there's really kind of a fine line of where does affiliate come in and with the media teams, that we work together and then nobody feels like they're stepping on each other. And you come across that often in the paid search world. I've had brands where like I've had to shut things off because they felt like they were bidding up their all their costs. But if you set it up correctly in the beginning, that doesn't happen because you have bid caps and you're working very closely with the paid search team, and everybody feels comfortable that they're each winning. But when you don't work with the media teams, there's going to be internal conflict, and they'll shut you down quickly because they actually ultimately own those channels. So
yeah, that's interesting. That's
interesting. So like,
do you think that they're actually driving up paid search costs? Like, could you give us an example of what an ad campaign would look like on paid search or maybe in a situation where that's happened to you in the past?
Yeah, we've had some where we hired a partner to drive phone calls, and they were allowed to bid on one keyword. And we constantly caught them, even though they're working closely with our search, they were always pushing the boundary of going past the bid cap that we allowed them, which then starts impacting our internal because now we're competing against them. And we've had to shut them down before. So, but if you set it up to where it's like, hey, this is our bid cap, you cannot go over it. You're going to be a P2 strategy. You can never bid for P1. That is the brand campaign there. you can kind of tell, and you always check in with the media team to make sure that they don't see any increase in spend against their own CPC costs. And I've had great success with that, and was able to keep a lot of paid search programs live because of that, because we basically built it together, and I brought the affiliate on as essentially an agency partner, just a third party, and makes it complement what we're doing. We're just trying to get more ownership in the SERP, and so
Yeah.
if we can do it together, it works. But if you don't work together, it's not going to work.
I think you're smart, and obviously, you're smart in the sense of you're bringing those other teams in really early on, like, right? So you're like trying to preempt bad things happening down the road by just like getting the paid or talking to the paid search team right away, or whatever media teams right away, the retention teams, all these different things. So like, I think that's really smart. Like, how would it, like, should agencies do that? Should like all affiliate managers do that? Like, I guess cross departmentally or cross operationally, like, is that like something that everyone should do?
You find a lot of agencies doing the TM plus on the promotional terms. I typically don't do that, just because I haven't had a lot of promotional clients, but I also feel that's not as incremental. I tend to do it on the brand terms. But that's where you work with some of your partners, your content partners that have written about you, and you work with those maybe partners like a Dot Dash or something to build out a P2 strategy, driving traffic to that article as more of like a validation, and working with your paid search team to understand what are the top search inquiries that they're facing, and then you can have that partner write about those inquiries to addressing that, concerns like, is this a legit company type of thing, and then have that partner write about answering that question. But with affiliate coming in more and more, in terms of being part of more of the media mix, how the brand sees the affiliates. Some have it on the media team, some on the growth team, some have it on the brand team. That's where like affiliate needs to kind of come in now and work with the media team from almost day one when it comes to building out your media strategy for the year. Like, where can affiliate come in and fill the holes? Like, do you want to test podcasts, but you don't really have the budget to do it? Well, let the affiliate team try it. And if it really scales, and then media team can kind of take over and actually put more money to it, or give more budget to the affiliate team to actually manage it. So that's
I
think that's where my piece comes in with the paid search. So it's like, you have to work with them.
A couple things. Yeah. I mean, I think it's just some great compliments and so much for me to kind of jump off of. So one is that you mentioned like working with third-party publishers to address certain customer questions, and then driving, specifically, Google Ads traffic, or bidding on specific things. Like you said, if on Google people are searching and trying to see if a company is like valid, right? Or legitimate, right? Or they're just seeking that third-party kind of validation or social proof. That's really interesting that you mentioned that you worked with like a Dot Dash Meredith or other publishers or partners in order to try to like reinforce your credibility, I guess, from a brand perspective. Very smart. I've also think kind of a very similar strategy is doing retargeting, whitelisting. So like, where you're just basically do that on Meta, right? So if you're getting retargeted on Meta, like it's probably better like if you have someone like comparing your product to another product that's also well known or whatever, or having a really cool piece of UGC or in-depth content or whatever, like, versus just retargeting with like internal brand ads. So I see that as also like a big opportunity from like the whitelisting perspective, but also to reinforce, like you said, that third-party validation or third-party social proof is in whitelisting campaigns. And to be honest with you, we've done a lot more on the cold prospecting side because everybody wants new customers. But it kind of makes even more sense from like whitelisting retargeting to like use, again, third-party editorial content to retarget people on Facebook or Instagram, wherever. So that's interesting. And definitely something, if you haven't, if someone's listening and you're not doing any of those types of strategies or campaigns, like something to pay attention to. And the other thing that you mentioned is kind of addressing, like using affiliate as to plug in like the media gaps, right? Or the channels that the brand would maybe want to experiment with, but hasn't allocated the budget or doesn't have the resources or whatever. So like some immediate examples that come to mind for me would be like connected TV. So like we have great companies like TV Scientific that do that for us. You know, you have, again, all those native channels. So there's a lot of affiliates that do native advertising. You know, Shop Her Media is an example. Digital Remedy is an example. You know, whereas other ones that we have relationships with that I'm not going to disclose because they're too good. You know, native. So connected TV, native. You know, even TikTok, Newsbreak, things like that. So like, I just think that so like that needs to be, like you said, like one of the first conversations that you need to have like with a brand or other teams, like where affiliate can help you with these, you know, kind of cross off these other, you know, channels or whatever in your media, you know, your media portfolio. But also too, I just feel like a lot of affiliate managers or affiliate agencies or whatever are kind of so stuck in the, you know, the lower funnel, mid funnel kind of area that they don't really even think about that or have that conversation right away. Like, would you agree that that's kind of a missing, I don't know, expertise, I guess, or skill set in affiliate marketing, is being able to understand like how do we leverage this from a media or growth perspective in order to like fill in those gaps for brands?
Yeah, I mean, I found, you know, there's so many affiliate agencies out there that all they do is affiliate, and you know, when you graduate college, you go into the agency and you get taught and trained into that world, and that's really all you know. And unfortunately, a lot of times agencies are just kind of the lower funnel, and that's how they've taught, and they go on into brands, and that's their same thinking. You know, like I mentioned before, I walked into affiliate 13 years into my career, so I was doing everything else prior, marketing standpoint, so I'm kind of thinking things differently. I think now a lot of the main agencies, agency groups are building out affiliate programs. And so that you can get some of the other channels that the agency represents, whether it be search or display or CTV or something, in the mix. And so you now can actually start learning. If you came on as an affiliate, you can work with the other teams to learn that. And I think that's very valuable, and some of the benefits you get from the large agencies. Some of the smaller agencies, they have that as well. And one of them I do work for, consult with, has that, you know, full media house in-house. And so I think if you're going to be coming into this world, in the affiliate world, and you have an opportunity to join an agency, and you want to join an agency, join one that has other channels. That way you can understand how they all work together. And then you're even more of a great asset moving over to your brand, because now you know how to speak to the growth teams and how to work together, and, you know, not step on each other's toes, but help actually complement each other when you're doing that. And that way you're not coming in as last click type of partner. All you're going to do is just load up a bunch of coupon sites. You're actually there to help fill the gaps, essentially.
Yeah. Do you like what does a full media portfolio look like to you? So you would have probably a pretty good input on this. So like I mentioned a few of those channels, right? Like native, display, or whatever. So like what does that look like? What is a brand that's or even an affiliate program that's firing on all media cylinders? What does that look like?
I think I have one partner that when I did, I did direct mail, I did display, native, PR, your traditional shopping portals and buy now, pay laters, and, you know, all the affiliate ones that you know of. But for me, yeah, I have a pretty good mix in terms of other channels going in there. So I try to kind of keep it, you know, at least always do like display and native and all your traditional affiliate partners. Direct mail is a little different. It kind of depends on, you know, like U.S. Postal Service, that you can kind of do it on CPA, some of their tactics, but you also need to have a product that is moving friendly, you know, like a home furnishing or something like that. If you're a supplement company, it's not really a good fit. So I think it really kind of depends on what the product is that kind of leverages what channels you do. You can always test, you know, for me also, even in terms of channel mix from a brand standpoint, you can't have 10 different channels going, because you just kind of start blurring the lines of what's actually working. And that's, you know, for example, is like when you do the post-purchase survey and then they kind of ask, how'd you hear about us? Well, if you have 10 different channels going on, you're not really actually getting the best answer. So less is more. And when I approach media, if I was a growth manager, I'd only actually have a handful of channels live.
Yeah.
Test a bunch, but only kind of focus on less than 5.
Yeah, that's interesting. I don't know if I 100% agree or even have enough information to like agree or disagree with you, because I think we have different backgrounds, like you working internally these with all these different media channels going on, but I do think that like having multiple media channels, like we are trying to do, because Google and Meta are like the bread and butter for most brands, right? But then there's a lot of times Meta is off limits for affiliate because it's run internally. Google is off limits for brands unless it's like best of paid search reviews for affiliate programs or affiliate model. So again, it kind of like restricts you to like what you can actually run from a media perspective. So like I know that we're trying to, like, Newsbreak is something I'm trying to run. And a lot of times, like we'll, like from the partners that we're running and we'll run Newsbreak with, or have previously run Newsbreak, they will like test in native first. Like they'll test a Taboola thing first, and then they'll move that over to Newsbreak after that's proves out or is successful or profitable. Connected TV I haven't really done quite as much with, but AppLovin is something else that we've activated for some of our clients as well as another media channel. So like the way that my mind works, but it might be, you might be right, like getting too disorganized or something, or trying to keep it as simple as possible, is like diversifying your media mix, specifically through affiliate, or I guess internally as a brand, but then also being organized, not letting things bleed over too much on one another, like trying to understand individual channel contribution, incrementality, and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, I mean, I think those are all interesting questions, but definitely good information to know, whether you're a brand or an affiliate manager or whoever. So you mentioned something previously about being able to run traffic and kind of acquire customers all day, but it needs to back out to basically be profitable or efficient. I think so many affiliate managers would be like bending over backwards to try to have that like ability to like run traffic and generate sales every day, just so I can retain clients more or like look better. Like, what did you mean by that? And like, is there an example that you can point out of like where that happened?
Can you repeat the question again? I want to make sure I got it correct.
Yeah, so you basically said, like in the past, I've heard a quote from you saying you can run traffic or generate traffic and sales all day, but if it doesn't back into profitable or efficient brand dollars, then it may not be worth it to pursue. So I feel like that's like there's probably a specific word for it, but like that's something like that's very desirable, right? To be able to actually, that's maybe the hardest part of affiliate marketing, which is driving traffic and sales. That it's actually incremental. But you're saying that that's kind of like easy for you, but so I'm asking like, what did you mean by that? Right? Is it really that easy? And then, yeah, I mean, has there been a situation where you've been able to like, I could refer, 1,000 more sales this month, but it's not efficient, so I'm gonna have to back off a little bit, or we're not able to like, kind of keep running that campaign?
Yeah, I think there are some partners that just constantly drive a lot of traffic and they convert, but you also have to look at what is the return rate. I've had a lot of partners where, if you look at a lot of your group mixes, your registries is a very low return rate, obviously because you're buying a gift, you're not really expecting to return it, but influencer, they have a very high return rate. So I could partner with a lot of influencers and drive a lot of orders, but if you back it out after a month, how many of those actually returned? So it's very important to look at it a 360 of not just all the traffic you're driving and all the conversions you are, but how much did you actually retain?
Yeah.
So I've seen a lot of people just continue to keep driving all these conversions, but they don't realize that they're, 40% of it is being returned. And so they think they're doing really great, but they're not. At the end of the day, because now you just paid 2 shipping costs. Yeah. And so you probably actually lost money on this whole thing. You really got to be conscious of that. And a lot of people just don't pay attention. They drive track to the site and they call it a day and move on to the next thing. They're not actually fully looking where's the abandonment rate, how's the funnel, was there a drop off, and what was a conversion rate, but then also the return rate. So for me, I look at it all in different directions, and So
Yeah, no, that's definitely a smart way, a comprehensive way to look at it, probably, and maybe something that I can learn from, or the people that we work with can work from. Because I know that there are specific partnerships or traffic channels like Unity, Tapjoy, like that have a high return rate, and so like it's those are things that you kind of know that going in, like these people are just this is an incentive, and I mean, maybe that's a good way to look at it too. Like not only is to assess your risk by like the campaign you mentioned, like get registries not as like not as high of a return rate, but something like a Tapjoy or a Unity, whatever they call it now, is people are just buying this so they can redeem this for some sort of like loyalty or like some sort of like game, like they're getting some sort of reward within their favorite game that they're playing on their phone, right, by purchasing this product. So they have a high chance of returning it, and their brand interest is probably very low. It's really they only want the thing in the game. So probably just to be a little bit more diligent too, and really think about the traffic source, and what is the customer coming, like that's coming through this traffic source or this relationship. What is the quality of that customer? Right? It's like customer quality, I guess, would be another way to put that. So you're kind of wrapping up here. Is there anything that just like super excites you in affiliate marketing, or like maybe even like when you launch a new program or begin working with a new client? Like, what's your favorite part of that, and what is your favorite? Like, if I were your client and I was just onboarding with you, like, what's your favorite part of affiliate to share with me or to show me that's possible when you're running an affiliate program?
For me, I think a lot of it has to do with just the tracking. I've always at T-Mobile, they would always launch new pages and stuff, but I'd be like, if you bring me in when you build this new funnel or this new page, if you can track for affiliate, you can track any other channel, because we're so granular in what we track, and then also kind of how. And that's because where some of the experience comes in with an affiliate manager. Like I had 24 event trackers on T-Mobile landing on website. I tracked everything, I knew more about. I could create reports for the analytics team that they didn't even get from Adobe Analytics, and where the traffic was coming, and what order and what product was purchased, and who drove the email sign up. All the stuff like. But for me, that's really the big value when it comes to affiliate. Is it's so granular that you can get so much information, and sometimes it's a little overload, but at least you have it in case you want to do the deep dive. And for when I come into a new client, I have to sometimes like say, I want to track all the newsletter signups, and they don't understand why I'm doing that. But for me, that's kind of a secondary KPI. If I do newsletter partners and maybe they're not driving as much conversions, but they had a lot of email signups, well, there is some value there. I got you into the funnel now. I didn't pay for that in terms of, I paid for my CPC, and there's some value to that. But whether or not, I try to bring on that type of, from an analytics standpoint, to understand the value of the newsletters, but also just kind of where the funnel is and what we're doing. So I really enjoy educating the partner and the client of the value of the whole channel and what you can do with it. 'Cause sometimes they don't even realize you can run all these different channels on a CPA, and now you have all the analytics behind it. Yeah. So
it's a little bit nerdier of an answer than I would have provided, but I'm glad that's why we need you in the organization, is because I'm trying to build the funnels and just refer the customers, and you're trying to make sure everything doesn't break. So that's that's important.
Well, I've been there, and a lot of things break, and then you feel really bad because our partners are our friends. At the end of the day, we socialize together, so I want to make sure they all get paid. And if I'm not tracking correctly, I feel like I'm kind of cheating my friends at times. So,
no, I think that's a good way to frame it, to think about it, because they truly are like, and I think that the mentality of trying to facilitate someone else's success in affiliate marketing is a good mentality to have, right? Whether it's EPC or conversion rate or tracking is working or payments are on time or whatever, or timely. all those kinds of things that, make it easy for other people to work with, whether that's a publisher or actual, or anyone else, right? That's, I think just facilitating their life being easier is going to get you far in affiliate marketing and make everything so much easier. Yeah, I mean, that's kind of my last question. I mean, I think there was so much in this episode, and for people to chew on and to, rewind and listen to again. Like, is there any questions that you have for me or any other comments just on topics in affiliate marketing you'd like to kind of share some insights on?
Yeah, I mean, I think you're kind of doing some innovative stuff when it comes to whitelisting. I think a lot of affiliate managers, it is hard to do that because it is, you're kind of stepping on the paid social team, and that's their area and the complexity of setting up. So, I cherish you for trying it and doing it and kind of doing something different, because I think we all need to really kind of step up and try make it this channel as valuable as possible.
For sure.
So I appreciate you doing that.
Yeah, I appreciate that. On the whitelisting front, it just so our data, we don't have mounds and mounds and mounds of data, but our data says that 3 to 4 times better click-through rate on whitelisted ads versus internal ads. So that's not too hard. That's not too uphill of a sell for media teams to say hey, your brand dollars are going to go 3 times farther because you're going to get 3 times better click-through rate here. Versus just, or your CPC is going to be 3 times lower, whatever way you want to dice the math. So that's something. And then, like I said, the retargeting side is a little bit less developed than the prospecting side. But it also just intuitively makes sense to me that if you're trying to close me at the bottom of the funnel, I don't necessarily need to see another brand ad talking about how great they are. I need a third party review to retarget me from a really valuable publisher or a really in-depth piece or a really whatever, talking about hey, this brand compares to this, or if you're having reservations about this product or whatever, here are some of those, whatever, here are some answers or some solutions or whatever the thing is. So I think that basically any creative, innovative way that you can integrate third-party social proof into any media campaign, or so that's whitelisting, that could be some of the stuff that you were doing earlier, whatever, just taking that concept and then, applying it, that's, I think that you're going to find something there. So yeah, definitely whitelisting is something that I'm huge on, and, our brands love that we're working with. So it's just about, implementing it and learning from it and all that kind of stuff. So Mr. Mike Currey, it has been an absolute pleasure. I think there's a ton here, maybe we can line up another interview, but if people want to reach you, even new brands, they want to reach out to you, or even if you want to go back on the advertiser side and build out an affiliate, department for someone, how can they reach you? What's the best way to, actual contact information, and where do you like to hang out?
LinkedIn is probably the best way.
Okay. LinkedIn, okay. And then so you're just Mike Currey under there, MikeCurrey.
Currey.
Okay.
I'm kind of working on my consulting thing, so I'm got to build a website. I have an old one, but it's not affiliate related. So LinkedIn right now is the best way.
So if you want to reach out to one of the best affiliate people in the game, all rounder, you can do that via LinkedIn. And I hope you got a lot of this episode, and we will catch you in the next episode. So appreciate your time, Mike, and look forward to connecting after.
I appreciate it. Thanks again.
Yeah.